Hello everyone, Jupiter enters Aquarius on November the 20th and will stay there until April the 13th, 2022. He will cross the whole sign in only 5 months. This transit has a very special import and meaning. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. And if the video is good for you, give it a thumbs up. Let's begin. So Jupiter enters Aquarius on November the 20th at 0 degrees. He will complete the transit of the whole sign in only 5 months. This is a supersonic speed for Jupiter because he normally takes a year to cross a sign. But this time he has already completed the retrograde and stationary phases of that transit in the spring this year. And that's what makes this particular phase of his transit so special. The first consequence of this is the things that you were beginning, thinking about starting in the spring and summer this year will now have the chance of completion. Perhaps the most important consequence, everyone, is that Jupiter in this sign, as he fast tracks through, is in a very magnanimous mood. He's in a giving mood and in a forgiving mood. How could this be? He's not so happy in Aquarius normally. It's ruled by Shani and Rahu, not his friends. It's because he is going home. He is fast tracking through to enter the home that he is most happy in, the sign of Pisces. Jupiter is happy in Pisces because it is a sign of spirituality where he can meditate in peace, if you like, in a cave by the sea. Have you ever been on a long journey and then you're on that final phase home? You may have enjoyed it, may have been many adventures, but suddenly you're tired and all you want to do is to go home. Well, that is the mood of Jupiter in Aquarius. So in this mood, he will help many of us to attain our desires and to actually accomplish many good things in life. But you have to remember that one thing Jupiter in Aquarius will demand, as I said, in the spring when he first entered the sign, he will demand cooperation between people. In Aquarius, he demands selfless service. So where you have given this before, you will now get rewards. And if you haven't been up to scratch, because don't forget, none of us are perfect, let's try now, because Jupiter will definitely reward cooperation. Even if he is not in a favorable house from your sign, he will still reward when we cooperate selflessly. Another factor lightening Jupiter's mood is that he is not afflicted by malefics. He has escaped the orb of Shani now, and even when Shani enters Aquarius in the spring, Jupiter will have just left into his own home of Pisces. Now, for sure, Mars will afflict by a fourth aspect when he enters into Scorpio in December for a short time. But Mars is a friend to Jupiter, so even though it's a little bit agitating, Jupiter, as I say, in the mood to go home, will not be bothered by this aspect. On the world stage, once again, cooperation between nations will be of absolute imperative now as Jupiter is in this sign of Aquarius. On the two most important factors, coronavirus and climate change situation, Jupiter will demand this ultimately, and to give the blessings he will bestow on us when he enters Pisces in 2022, this is of the utmost importance. So with these factors in mind, let's read, everybody, what Jupiter in Aquarius has in store for you in the next 5 months. Read from your ascendant Lagna and from your moon sign also. Let's begin. For Aries moon and Aries Lagna, Jupiter is lord of your 9th house and your 12th house. Both houses have to do with foreign travel. So Jupiter entering the 11th house of your chart is very good for you because actually it gives you a break from a heaviness in your life caused by other planetary configurations now. Jupiter here at last allows you a bit more freedom. Jupiter in the 11th will definitely bring new people into your sphere. Network circles widen. Groups that you enter into will provide new friendships and a new sense of happiness in your life, actually, because this is the house of your good fortune. So Jupiter here is opening doors to you now. Friendships, networks, and particularly job opportunities. This is great for business people as well because Jupiter's 9th aspect onto the 7th house of the marketplace and business. You can expand a business, start a business, find a new business partner even. You will have tremendous ideas and the openings are there. It's only 5 months, so you must act as soon as the opening comes to you. The aspects of Jupiter show that this real feeling of urgency is coming into your mind now because the 5th aspect on the 3rd house gives you a very strong self-confidence now. Now, you're normally very self-confident, but this will expand this for you. Many of your doubts will leave you. Some of you start a new course of education because of Jupiter's aspect onto the 5th and the 3rd house. The 3rd house also rules travel, and Jupiter aspecting the 3rd house inclines you to much exploration. Really, it's about local rather than long distance travel, but either way, travel is good. And Jupiter aspecting here inclines to overcome difficulties you've had with your siblings and even with your work colleagues during this period. Jupiter aspecting the 5th house increases your happiness with your children if you have them. And if you're looking to start a family, there could be no better time. Jupiter here expands your feeling of optimism in life because the 5th house is all about where you look to the future. So you're very much forward planning now, and any plans you make now will be excellent, having complete insight into the possibilities. The aspect of Jupiter onto the 7th house of your chart is excellent for cooperation with your spouse. Any disharmony can disappear from many intimate relationships. And if you are seeking a new relationship, the aspect of the 5th and the 7th house shows that new romantic opportunities come into your sphere, very often from your network circles or even from sibling and local family circles. So generally, Jupiter is expanding your interactions with other people in a very harmonious way. For Taurus, Moon and Ascendant, Jupiter can be a tricky planet for you because he rules your 8th and 11th house. He brings opportunities, but he also makes you have to leave the past behind. He often undercuts situations for you and can be a little bit troublesome. But this time, as I say, he's in a favourable mood. So for Moon and Ascendant, changes in your career are very likely. You can have very good opportunities. Cooperation with superior and the boss are definitely there. Cooperation with your work colleagues will increase, and difficulties which have been there will begin to ease. But often, because he is your 8th house lord, he will demand a change. He will demand that you do something differently. So take your time with this. Don't just jump in. You are unlikely to do that, but some of you may do. The opportunities to soon increase income, by the way, next year when you have Jupiter 11th house are showing themselves to you now. So look around you. Be optimistic about job opportunities. And if you are seeking for a new job, you will definitely find expansion and new openings are there for you. The aspect of Jupiter to the 2nd house will increase your happiness with your family members, though. You will find much more support, cooperation from them, and you will also begin to feel happier about your financial situation. Watch your health, though. Jupiter aspect 2nd and 6th makes you a little bit lackadaisical about what you're eating, what's your food intake, what's your exercise routine. Jupiter 10th house actually for your sign makes you stressed. Even though you do get those wonderful opportunities, you have to be aware of it. But the best aspect of Jupiter is the aspect to the 4th house. Your home environment and your family happiness increase tremendously in these next 5 months. You have communication with family members you've not been speaking to or there's been disharmony with. You cooperate with them and they cooperate with you. Mother's health also increases. You may have a new vehicle, buy a new property, extend the house in some way, make enormous changes to your domestic setup. One thing to watch out for, though, as I say, Jupiter 10th house can make you overextend yourself. Make sure that you just don't take on too much. It can have an adverse effect. For Gemini Moon, Gemini Lagna, all the opportunities you've been wanting for so long are going to finally open. As Jupiter enters into your 9th house, as he is your 7th house lord, he expands your life with new people coming into your life, with more business opportunities if you are searching for them, marketplace opportunities too, connected to foreign lands, foreign people, new philosophies, new religion, expansion of your mental sphere. You feel much happier with this Jupiter transit. Jupiter makes communication in your educational field much better. If you are a student, there is great success now. Really good cooperation. You feel happy on the course, and if you move course, it's a very successful move. Cooperation with your father's family is absolutely improved. Most of all, though, your health improves. Your optimism and your total vitality is revitalized. Jupiter 9th house gives you excellent ideas as well because of the aspect to your 3rd house. If you try a new skill now, you will succeed amazingly. Your communication is top notch now, and any impression which you need to make on people, superiors, in your job, marketplace people, people you have business opportunities with, you communicate in such a way that people are very inclined to cooperate with you. And this includes siblings and neighbors as well. But most of all, Jupiter 9th house expands your sense of future planning. 5th house is about the future, how you look to the future. Jupiter here will incline you to make very good plans now. And this includes plans to have children. Many of you will expand family now and find much more happiness and cooperation with your children. So make the most of this happy mood in your life. You can definitely benefit from travel at this time. Foreign lands, local travel, you will get enormous enjoyment and happiness from this. For Cancer Moon and Cancer Lagna both, Jupiter is a worrisome planet for you sometimes. Because he rules your 6th house, he brings an enormous amount of worry into your life. And because he's going into the 8th house, he's increasing it tremendously because he's making you feel insecure. But here's the good news. Because Jupiter is in a very happy mood right now, rather than increasing your fears in this transit, he's going to release you from them. And what are the things that you are fearful of? It's about expenses in your life, financial insecurity, and your home life. These are the things that are worrying you right now, and Jupiter will show you now excellent solution. The first thing is you need to spend a little more time on your own. The 8th house is where you take yourself off to somewhere quiet. It's where you dig yourself in, literally, to a retreat situation. And aspecting the 12th house, foreign travel can be helpful to you now. Going into foreign lands, if it is for religious purpose, retreat, spirituality, is going to help you. You don't even have to go far. Just going within, meditation, contemplation, spiritual renewal is greatly helped by this transit. You do have a lot of financial problems and expenses though, because Jupiter will expand them. But the good news, the aspect to your 2nd house, help can come from your family. Issues with wills, legacies, inheritances, pensions, joint finance are all going to come up now for resolution. And if you cooperate with your family, you will find that these are more easily solved than you could believe. Solutions also come to you in your home circle. You are inclined to make a major change now in your home, but it can only be done with complete cooperation. So don't become fearful of the changes which you need to make home-wise. Go ahead with them. They're absolutely going to be favorable. Some of you may decide to move home. Again, because Jupiter is in the 8th house, it's a big move. It's not a small move. So you need to have other people with you. It's a team effort. Jupiter here also means that problems with your family members, as I say, can be evaporating, can be completely changed. So you may be in a very insecure mood, but by cooperating with your family, with those who you live with, expanding into a whole new domestic situation now, much more happiness is absolutely coming your way. For Leo Moon, Leo Lagna both, Jupiter is entering Aquarius again in the 7th house of your chart. This is such a good transit for you. You see, Jupiter is the lord of your 5th house. He brings good fortune to you, but also the lord of your 8th house. So when he brings you this good fortune, he gives a great transformation in your life. That's the only problem, because you're a fixed sign and you don't like change too much. Jupiter in the 7th house will increase your inclination to cooperate with others. That's a good thing. Spousal disharmony can be solved. New relationships can definitely be formed. And even getting married may be on the cards for many Leo. And actually, it's all about, though, breaking with the past. 8th house shows that you can make very good financial arrangements, even if you should get divorced in this period, because whatever it is, whatever your personal situation, Jupiter opposite to your moon or ascendant will increase the harmony of the solution. So if it's getting closer or being further apart, if it's finding new relationship, whatever it is, relationship situations work out in your favor. The next 5 months provide great business opportunities. If you are a business person, marketplace just expands overnight. New income comes your way. You find people to work for you and to work with you. It's a very harmonious and cooperative atmosphere. If you are not a business person but in employment, it's also excellent because Jupiter aspect to the 11th house shows increase in your income, increase in availability of new income, and excellent opportunity. Jupiter will, though, increase your health and your vitality tremendously. This optimistic mood takes over completely and you will be feeling invigorated, actually, and full of confidence. Not that you are ever lacking in it, but it will be much more freely available to you. You will not let anything or anyone hold you back. It's a very expansive and productive period. There is a minus to the transit though. That is that Jupiter is aspecting the 3rd house in your chart. Now the 3rd house is a house of ego, conflict and dispute, and you are inclined to that very often because you don't back down when there is a dispute. So Jupiter might increase disputes with your siblings, with your neighborhood, with even people in the workplace. Although things are absolutely expanding for you, disputes seem to be cropping up. Try to calm these down for the best result. For Virgo, Moon and Lagna, Jupiter again, the Lord of your 7th and your 4th house, going once more back into Aquarius since the spring. It's bringing up all the issues that were so potent to you then. There is a need for cooperation with your spouse. There is a need to have joint conversations about things rather than trying to work them out separately. That is the key thing that is most important. But Jupiter transiting in the 6th house of your chart can make you feel ill at ease and a little bit temperamental. It can increase stress in your life, stress in your workplace, stress with your family actually, because it makes you very critical of situations, which you always are. So what must you do? Try to take meditation and calm during these next 5 months. Jupiter aspecting the 12th house shows you must have time to yourself. You must have time to relax and let go of your worries. One of the most trying factors in your life is your work situation right now, and Jupiter aspecting the 10th house is going to bring up all the factors that make you dissatisfied. But really, if you listen to what your colleagues have to say, Jupiter will actually help you find a solution. Superiors, boss, everybody look on you with favor now as you continue to work hard and apply yourself favorably. So don't fear, you are not being overlooked. Fantastic opportunities come to you, by the way, when Jupiter enters into Pisces after April. So continue with that hard work and that selfless application. You are not being overlooked. And if you want to move job, search out opportunities now. Very soon you will be able to act on them. But the best factor of this transit is that it helps you to get on top of difficult health issues. You do it by cooperating with clinicians, etc., because Jupiter is your 7th house lord, but also looking at your diet, medication, etc. It needs to be changed. A big adjustment needs to happen. But once again, as always, very importantly, you must do that in cooperation with medical help. And if you do that, a lot of your difficult health issues slowly begin to calm down. Watch expenses also. Jupiter aspects 12th house, they will expand. But the good news, because Jupiter aspects the 2nd house of your chart, this time, this Jupiter Aquarius will help you to stabilize financial situation. So take care of your stress level, take care of your health, cooperate as much as you can, and you will find security and good help during this transit. For Libra, Moon and Lagna, Jupiter is a difficult planet for you because he brings contention, ruling your 3rd and your 6th house. But luckily now he's gone back into the 5th house of your chart, having transited in the 4th house for a little while longer. So recently you've had difficult domestic situations, difficult decisions about domestic life. You may have actually finally made a decision to move during this Jupiter-Saturn transit. And now Jupiter moving forward into the 5th 5th house will open up amazing opportunities for you. The first opportunities come in education. If you are a student or thinking of starting a new course, there could be no better time. You will find the most amazing opportunities in educational setting. Your studious nature will get you to the top of the class. You will do amazing research during this time. Jupiter aspecting 9th house of higher education will get you the highest honors possible. And Jupiter aspecting 1st house will give you increased confidence in your own academic ability. You have children, Jupiter's transit previously may have given you worry about them and concern about them, but Jupiter now will show resolution to all of their problems also. And if you want to start a family, this is an excellent time to start a family. So there's an optimistic and future orientated factor to this Jupiter 5th house transit. 5th house also represents romantic opportunities and everything to do with entertainment and fun in your life. And aspecting the 11th house, if you are young, an increased social circle is definitely there. New friendships, new networks, including new opportunities for romantic attraction. Now, if you're not in education, Jupiter aspecting the 9th house, though, will definitely increase your cooperation with people who are mentors to you, who give you advice as well, including father. And there will be good news in regard to your father. Jupiter's aspect onto this 9th house also helps you to have smooth travel. If you should go into foreign lands, it will be most favorable for you. And finally, Jupiter will have a great impact on your health and your well-being. The aspect onto the 1st house will remove many long-standing health issues and give you an enormous feeling of relief. For Scorpio, Moon and Lagna, Jupiter going into your 4th house makes you really restless. You want to change things immediately in your home situation. You may want to move, or you may want to make relocation. You may want to travel as well. Jupiter just makes you have itchy feet in the 4th house, but it's not always the best thing for you. Because Jupiter is in the sign of Saturn and Rahu, domestic changes can become difficult. They can come up against brick walls for you, and it's just going to make you agitated. Especially this will be true from your moon sign more than from ascendant. But away from the home, in the workplace, wonderful opportunities await you, especially, as I say, with cooperation with others. New opportunities for job, promotion, etc. are definitely there. Some of you will actually decide to move into a completely different sphere of work. And once again, that will be favorable at this time. But it will require a shift in your home work situation. And so the work will go well, but the home shift may be a little bit troublesome. If you are in business and want to expand, Jupiter inclines you to do so now. But again, some caution is necessary. You need cooperation of others, or expenses. Jupiter's aspect to the 12th house could get out of control. So what's your financial situation? It could be touch and go in some ways. Caution is needed. But the good news, Jupiter in the 4th house expands your spiritual aspirations and your search for truth. You are a great researcher, Scorpio. So Jupiter aspecting the 2 Dustana, 8th and 12th house opens up secret knowledge to you. Wisdom and spiritual information is amazing. So you will gain from any occult study, metaphysical study, astrology, etc. And from all academic research. It's really favored now. For Sagittarius, Moon and Lagna, Jupiter in your 3rd house certainly puts you in a terribly restless mood. It's hard to sit still for 1 minute during the next 5 months in your life. You are constantly on the move, either in your mind or actually physically. It's a little bit of an agitating transit, however, particularly from the moon. You see, Jupiter also gives you a lot of impatience during this transit. You just want to move on with your plans, and you're not really waiting for anybody else to catch up. And that is where things could come a little bit unstuck. Difficulties with your neighbors, siblings, co-workers could develop because Jupiter puts you in a very expansive mood here, and you're not patient. You're not really listening to others, and that's going to be the problem. This is generally, though, more of a tendency from the moon sign than from the ascendant, but either way, you will have to cooperate with your spouse. There is a very important juncture coming in a personal relationship now. A big change is about to happen, and Jupiter aspecting 7th house allows you to cooperate with your spouse in a much happier mood. You can walk to the future future together, because you are thinking of where you want to go, where you want to expand your life. So very often, Jupiter aspecting 9th house and 7th house, you travel with your spouse. You engage in something that is mind expanding with your spouse, maybe education course, etc. Or you expand a business with a business partner. If you are in a business right now, Jupiter aspecting the marketplace will give you amazing opportunities. Make the most in these next 5 months, because although you are impatient, you will not hesitate to grab the opportunities. Jupiter will put you in a very expansive mood here. Because he is aspecting the 11th house of income, your income could go right up in these next 5 months due to marketplace opportunities, but also to your own ingenuity. If you are in employment, new opportunities for increased income will also be there. But the most important aspect is Jupiter aspect on the 9th house, on his own house. You will find renewed contact with people from afar. People who you've not had contact with for some time come back into your life. Help from your father's family is also there. And foreign travel is most definitely on the cards now. But because Jupiter is not in the 9th but in the 3rd house, it won't be exactly a smooth journey, but perhaps it's one that you have to make. So it's an agitating transit. You're not patient, you're not waiting for anybody, but that has a good factor, because you will grab amazing opportunities during this time that you definitely don't want to lose. For Capricorn Moon, Capricorn Lagna, this is a very favourable transit for you. Jupiter is the lord of your 12th house and sometimes can cause unnecessary expenses for you. Now he's gone into the 2nd house in a good mood. You can curb these expenses now. You can get them finally under control. This will mean that you have to change many factors of your work situation, however. The aspect of Jupiter to the 6th and the 10th house shows that you need to expand into a more comfortable work situation. You need to change factors in your work environment to make it happier for you. So changes coming into your workspace, because Jupiter aspects 10th house, will be favorable for you now. Maybe there's a new office. Maybe there's a new job in a new department. Maybe for some of you, it's a brand new field of employment. Whatever it is, it's favorable for you. Jupiter's aspect on the 6th house enables you to put loose ends together now, to stabilize financial situations by this new job opportunity. The aspect onto the 8th house is also good. You need to cooperate with your family members, and Jupiter is going to help you to do that. Sort out wills, legacies, joint finance with your spouse, pension, savings. There is no time to lose. You have to tie up loose ends and you have to make it stable again, which you will do with a great deal of skill. So overall, Jupiter makes you feel more secure here, and as it increases security, dealing with difficult family financial situations, wills, legacies and inheritances all come out in your favor now, you begin to overindulge a little bit, and Jupiter's aspect on the 6th house shows health problems could come. So watch food and drink very carefully during this period. Aquarius Moon and Lagna, Jupiter going into the 1st house is generally positive, but it's especially positive from the ascendant rather than the moon. In the moon sign transit, what you're going to find is that Jupiter can cause domestic upsets, domestic problems, and make you a little bit unstable emotionally. But still, the benefits I'm going to speak about will be there. You just need to stabilize emotions. So for Moon and Ascendant, though, Jupiter increases your confidence in yourself and, most importantly, in your own creativity. It's a very future-orientated transit. Jupiter aspecting 5th and 9th house puts you in a mood to make fantastic plans now, and you think them well through, and they could be excellent for you. You will make plans in regard to education, and if you are in education, it's perfect. You're going to get the highest grades, the best study, you're going to feel on top of the course, and you're going to make a great impression on your teachers. If you are thinking of starting a new educational course, there could be no better time. It will definitely be the right course for you. Relationships benefit enormously by this transit. Jupiter aspects the 5th and the 7th house at the same time. What this means is new romantic opportunities are there if you are looking for them. New relationships and ongoing relationships benefit from a real sense of cooperation with your partner. In addition, for some of you, Jupiter's aspect onto the 5th house of children will actually increase harmony with children you may have, and many of you may even start a family or increase a family at this time. Because Jupiter rules your 11th house, he inclines you to expansion in your life. So many of you start up a new business enterprise now or expand an existing business, and it can be very successful. Jupiter opens up a whole new marketplace for you. Finally, Jupiter's aspect on the 9th house, his own house, is extremely favorable for study, which is metaphysical or religious orientated study in that way, gaining deep truths and understanding. Help from your father, help from gurus, mentors, it's all there for you. And especially foreign travel can be helpful to you. You become quite popular actually during this time, so make the most of this period in your life. For Pisces, Moon and Lagna, Jupiter going again into the 12th house of your chart, it's time to take a back seat. It's time to do what you actually like to do. Relax, meditate, go into your deep philosophical studies, occult study, astrology, metaphysics, whatever it is. This will expand your mind. You will get spiritual help and spiritual wisdom, and you will feel much more happier if you concentrate on these areas of life now, because it's what you're meant to be doing at this time. So what about material factors in the next 5 months? Well, Jupiter's aspect as your Lord on the 4th house will expand your home. You may make great changes now, but it will include expenses, a lot of expenses, so you have to curb those. But generally, you may feel like you want to shift, you want to move, but it may not be quite the right time yet, because Jupiter is having a difficult aspect on the 6th and the 8th house, Dustana houses. So even though you want to make a great change, consider carefully if it's quite the right moment. But nonetheless, Jupiter aspect to the 4th house can extend your happiness, your inner happiness, sense of well-being. You may buy a new vehicle, you may extend the house where you live, or you may make changes to the interior of a building. Whatever it is, it's good if you are expanding rather than just taking up and going somewhere else. It's very good for now, because also Jupiter aspecting 4th house brings you closer to your family. Family members you've not seen for a while come into your circle again. And watch your health as well, because Jupiter aspecting 6th house can increase minor health issues in your life. And also it makes you a little bit self-indulgent, which won't help your health. So watch food intake. But Jupiter's very favorable aspect actually on the 8th house of your chart. You finally deal with those outstanding factors you've been putting to one side. You deal with your debt. 6th and 8th house represents debt in your life. You deal with financial overload, where you've got too much money in different accounts and they're not working for you. You deal with family finance, spousal finance, and you finally come to a good solution to all of these problems. So it's a fine-tuning transit for you. Make the most of this, because as soon as Jupiter comes into the 1st house, your life is going to expand and you will need every single ounce of energy. Don't forget to sub below if you're new to my channel. Goodbye for now, and God bless everyone.